You've been walking through your neighbourhood and noticed trees are now gone to make way for a new housing development or more car parks. Well, you're not alone, and this points to the growing dilemma of how Melbourne's eastern suburbs can help urban cooling effects while delivering much needed housing. Chadstone resident Paul Hepper reached out to tell me how his street recently lost a row of mature London plane trees because the local council widened the road for more car parks. He said a lot of redevelopment across Melbourne's eastern suburbs takes up the whole block, leaving no room for canopy trees. The recently released National Climate Risk Assessment stated that if global warming exceeds 3 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels, heat-related deaths would be 259% higher than current conditions. Australia is already at 1.5 degrees above pre-industrial levels, while the global warming level is at about 1.2 degrees. So how can trees help? Well, the most common building materials, things like concrete, steel, wood, and stone, have a high thermal mass, meaning they can absorb a lot of heat. However, if the sun's rays hit a tree canopy before our urban infrastructure, that energy goes towards photosynthesis, and less heat is absorbed into the atmosphere. Professor Stephen Livesley from the University of Melbourne School of Agriculture, Food and Ecosystem Sciences told me innovation was required to integrate vegetation and canopy trees into our ever-expanding housing footprint.
Within those new developments that go up, you need to have green space built into those for the residents of those properties, but also for the general public around. What has to happen there is we have to think more creatively about encouraging or incentivizing the developers to provide adequate rooting volume for trees and large vegetation. Because if you just put plants in the ground that you've compacted and degraded through the construction process, those trees will not be very healthy and not grow very well.
According to University of Melbourne lecturer in urban greening Marie Dade, financial considerations meant that urban greening projects, canopies, corridors of trees, local parks, rooftop and wall gardens and community vegetable patches often lost out.
And I think a lot of these, particularly the developments, tend to add green space in a way that's easiest. So I think there's still a bit of a mismatch between priorities there.
So what needs to happen to help the trees help us? Well, documents like the National Adaptation Plan and the Built Environment Sector Plan set out a positive and constructive way forward, including plans to introduce new rules to state and national building codes to deliver more climate-resilient urban greening plans. However, Sweltering Cities Executive Director Emma Bacon told me these plans are only the first step.
When it comes to the National Adaptation Plan, it's simultaneously this very important document. It's hard to say that it meets the moment in terms of the commitments, the funding that we might like to see go alongside the National Climate Risk Assessment. It's really tough to see this is what will happen if we don't meet the moment, and then a few days later, really a failure to meet the moment.